World political leaders were quick to roundly condemn today's attack at the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, where 10 journalists, 2 police officers were gunned down. The Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, said in a statement that Canada and its allies will not be intimidated, but how will it affect security measures in Canada, and what about the global implications of the attack? We can tell you now, NBC News is just tweeting this out, and we're trying to verify here at CBC, that 2 of the attackers have now been captured and are in custody, and 1 of the suspects is dead, according to NBC News. We're trying to verify that right now. We do know there have been police telling us that there's been an anti-terror operation taking place about an hour and a half northeast of Paris and also now reports are breaking that maybe 2 of the suspects here have been captured alive. That's what NBC is reporting right now. We're trying to verify that. So obviously a very fluid situation as the manhunt for the 3 suspects continues. Now we're trying to confirm all this as we speak. Let me bring in Mohamed El Rashidy, Director of the Canadian Arab Federation in Toronto, and here with me in Ottawa, Juneau is the Assistant Professor at the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa. Let's just get your reactions and the implications. Thomas, I'm going to start with you. France has been involved in some very serious operations in Mali, in Iraq, around the world. When you look at this, and your specialty has been these organizations in the Middle East, what comes to mind when you look at this attack?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that as tragic as this is, it's not surprising. France has been regularly listed and named by a variety of terrorist organizations. It's still not clear who was responsible for this today, but both Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State have repeatedly specifically targeted France, in part for the reasons you mentioned. France has decades of heavy involvement in various parts of the Middle East, so that France itself has been targeted is not a surprise. The timing of the attack, exactly who would be attacked, that nobody could obviously predict, but Charlie Hebdo itself, as has been mentioned repeatedly today, had been listed as a target by a variety of organizations. Al-Qaeda in Yemen in 2013 specifically published a list of most wanted, which included its editor-in-chief.
And just recently, just a couple of days ago, ISIS had particularly threatened the French.
ISIS has regularly specifically targeted the French. In a major message that its chief spokesperson released this summer, France was actually put at the top of the list of country targets by ISIS, and they were specifically referred to as the filthy French.
Yeah. So you got Charlie Hebdo, who had been targeted by Al-Qaeda in Yemen. ISIS has repeatedly targeted France, among other countries, Australia, Canada, the United States, Great Britain, the UK. So again, we don't know which group has been responsible for this, if any, as we follow this fluid situation. Mohamed El Rashidy, you're following this. What has been your reaction to this?
Well, obviously, shock and horror. It's a very despicable act to kill unarmed people, innocent people in that way. We've heard this back and forth talk about the cartoons and freedom of speech and that argument, but obviously taking it to the level of violence and doing what happened today is completely unacceptable by all standards. As you said, Evan, it's condemned worldwide. All the organizations that you could possibly hear of have condemned it. Certainly in the Middle East and throughout the Muslim world, from the Arab League to Al-Azhar in Cairo, everybody's condemned this. It's horrific. And obviously it's probably the beginning of a new era in which we're seeing a lot of these soft targets being attacked by small groups of cells of terrorists. And it's a new era that's very disturbing, no doubt.
Yeah. The other thing that we spoke to some security experts about this, people like Ray Gobert, the former assistant director of CSIS. And, in watching this, everyone said, these guys, very different, let's say, from the attack here in Ottawa. Lone gunman, he had a semi-automatic rifle with 7 shots. These guys were, they were fully armed. They obviously had very sophisticated weapons. They looked like they knew what they were doing. They seemed to specifically have targeted this. What does that tell you?
I mean, keeping in mind that at this point it's still only speculation, to some extent, this is consistent with the way that Al-Qaeda in Yemen tends to do business. There has been some speculation on the internet today that it has been that one of the attackers did claim, allegiance to Al-Qaeda in Yemen. I'm a bit surprised if it is Al-Qaeda in Yemen that Al-Qaeda in Yemen has not claimed this attack on Twitter, which you could have expected them to do. Maybe they're waiting a bit. Maybe there's a bit of tactical patience. But Al-Qaeda in Yemen is an organization that is very elitist, if you want, in the way that it organizes and manages attacks. Very skilled fighters, very, very skilled bomb makers. We saw very high levels of creativity in how they've tried to plan and execute attacks. So in a way, and again, this is not proof, but the way this was executed today may be consistent with them.
What's the political fallout, Mohamed El Rashidy, when something like this happens?
Well, you've got domestic and you've got foreign. Obviously, in France, you have Marie Le Pen. Le Pen is the right-wing politician in France. She's been edging up over the last few years, and you're seeing this rise of right-wing sentiment against immigrants, against Islam in general, secular extremism, if you will. So what you're seeing is a lot of that growing throughout Europe. We saw the Pegida group in Germany organize large rallies. These kinds of attacks play into that and will increase the sentiment domestically. So now you have a challenge for the government in place. Hollande is an interventionist in foreign policy, but domestically he's viewed as laying on the left. So he's going to have to watch his flank from those right-wing groups who will want to obviously grab a lot of the votes with people who are incensed from this. On foreign policy side, you can expect, of course, France is now going to have a free hand in becoming more aggressive and even further intervene in foreign nations and in foreign adventures like they did in Mali, as you said, as well as the Middle East.
Yeah, Mohamed, let me just stay with you. The domestic politics of France are absolutely fascinating. They have a long history of tension with a very large Muslim community. France and Germany both have huge Muslim communities. Doug Saunders, for example, has written books about the suburbs around the big cities where there's a big Muslim community. They have a policy of assimilation, not just integration. It's very different. It's not multiculturalism like they have here in Canada. It's active assimilation, and there's been a lot of tension there. What kind of, and as you say, Le Pen, Marie Le Pen and the Front National have campaigned essentially against immigrants and against Muslims. How does this play out in terms of that kind of domestic tension?
Well, there are two ways of looking at it. Hollande can always, as the leader of the day, wrap himself with the flag and rally the troops and say the right things and seem popular that way, play to the nationalism and so on. But Le Pen has always been anti-Muslim and is also, so she sort of has that card when the election comes around to play it as I'm going to take further steps for immigration. But I think you raise a very important point about a distinction of the situation in Europe, particularly France and Germany. And you're looking at France, over 5 million Muslims. It's nothing like Canada, I think, or even the United States. We're light years ahead in North America in terms of integration, in terms of social harmony. You're talking about ghettoization. You're talking about disillusionment of millions of young people from North African descent, in particular in France. And there's a lot of toxic discourse taking place in France. So I think one of the more accurate ways to look at this and what happened there is to focus on France being a very toxic place right now for social cohesion. And so it's not as surprising as we heard that this would happen in France as opposed to other countries, especially the skill and the level of advancement that took place, as well as brutality.
And Thomas, there's the other issue now. And again, as we look into the background of these three suspects, that some reports now, early reports are saying two of them are in captivity and one killed. Again, we're trying to confirm that right now. But if they indeed had backgrounds in Syria, this would raise the issue of the foreign fighter.
Clearly it would. I think at this point, again, it's speculation. There have been some reports today that one of the two brothers may have been involved in organizing the transport of French youngsters to go to Iraq around 2004, 5, 6. There may have been links to Syria too more recently. That's still not clear. The fact that they may have gone to Iraq 6, 7, 8 years ago may not necessarily be a contradiction with their possible links to Al-Qaeda in Yemen, because Al-Qaeda in Yemen has had links with Al-Qaeda in Iraq. So at this point, we really just don't know.
All right, lots of speculation. Thomas, Juneau, Mohamed El Rashidy, thanks so much for your comments on this tonight. As we're all watching the situation in France right now, 12 people have been gunned down. 10 journalists at Charlie Hebdo, a satirical magazine, in downtown Paris, and then 2 police officers. Now, I'll show you this video. This has gone viral around the world because people are just watching these two suspects now as they exited after gunning down and targeting the journalist inside the Charlie Hebdo magazine. There they were. You see them it looks like, experts say they look like they're trained. This is a still photo. A police officer on the ground getting gunned down. They targeted the journalist, a well-known caricaturist, satirist, and cartoonist, and we'll show you some of those pictures. Here they are. These are the victims. Right now, reports are saying there's an anti-terror operation going on outside of Paris, about an hour and a half northeast of Paris in the town of Reims. Right now, early reports also saying 2 of the suspects are in custody and 1's killed. We cannot confirm that right now, but we're watching this very closely. These attacks have been condemned by world leaders. The Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, Thomas Mulcair, Justin Trudeau, they've all come out. The President of the United States, the Prime Minister of the UK, obviously, Mr. Hollande in France. Lots of people obviously watching the situation very closely right now. Meantime, ISIS has talked about this as a well-deserved revenge against France, so we're starting to get, again, reaction on all sides from this horrific day. There'll be lots more tonight on the National with Peter Mansbridge. Now, Aya is in Paris. She'll have a report on this. We're going to leave you tonight with some of the face of the victims. The manhunt's still going on right now. And so it's a very fluid situation, and we'll be following it right here on CBC News Network. We're going to leave you with a couple things. Some of the pictures of the victims were gunned down because of what they did. This was a war on freedom of expression. It was a war of ideas for people who decided that they did not accept cartoonists satirizing their religion, and they clearly went and targeted these journalists. The journalists around the world obviously have stood up for the freedom of expression. Some of the names: Stéphane Charbonnier, the editor of the newspaper, 47 years old, known professionally as Charles, strong defender of the paper. Bernard Verhaak, he too under the name of TU, belonged to a group called Cartoonists for Peace. Bernard Marais, prominent economist and journalist, who wrote a weekly column for the paper under Uncle Bernard. Georges Valinsko, a veteran cartoonist, 80 years old, awarded France's highest honor, the Legion of Honor, in 2005. Jean Cabot, who drew cartoons under the name of Cabot, 60 years he did this. All these men gunned down today. That's it for this special edition of Power.